I'm not sure if I want to or not. Um, I just changed my mind. I think I do like it. Okay. Um, Here, I'm going to put it up and you guys can admire it.
Right.
There.
Mm,
Mm.
I do admire it.
Oh.
So I'll
You,
describe what it is, or at least how I'm adopting it, in a moment. The first thing I have to say is that I really feel underprepared in terms of the numbers for tonight. The uh, the requirements of the game for making up characters are really, really demanding, and
yeah.
in a way, uh, I guess I don't know if I just dropped the ball on it or I just finally couldn't face it, this time.
Mm.
Um, and it took a lot to think about what these characters might be like or what they're up to in specific cases. So we are going to go ahead, and if we end up failing out because I just don't have the game materials that I need, well, then at least I discovered what I need to put effort into. Right.
Mhm.
So
We'll just break
yeah,
if you need a break.
yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I were better
I
able
mean,
to have everything at my fingertips, but it is very, very demanding, and I think I've been spoiled by the Mountain Witch. So,
although that felt far longer than it was. I'm still looking at it and thinking, that was only 5 sessions?
right, right,
I mean, that was so crammed with things that happened. That's completely insane.
yeah, that's true. Um, all right, well, I have in hand uh, two locations, and in the little riverside town that we left Ithasha and Farith in, um, Helma was asking about time and sleep and recovery of miracle points seemed to have been part of the that question. And the answer that I've given now that we've looked at the glass making videos, clearly this is not something you sit down and do in an hour, particularly with low tech methods. You would have to really uh, you would have to really know what you're doing. And one thing I appreciated in that video was the different devices for heat that they had. Some of them
Mhm.
had a wall oven, and I was thinking about which ones were sort of low tech. And then I remembered in the Duster supplement how it talks about the special forges that the dravers use for their glass weapons. So, in other words, you wouldn't be able to make a glass weapon in this person's workshop where
Yeah,
you are.
I imagine
You're
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
you are able to make the vessels that you talked about. Um, but clearly, this is not. I mean, you met him during the night, but it's not like you could be there all night. I mean, this is something you would do through the course of a number of hours in different steps. So, what we've effectively done through the roles that we made last time was establish that you will be here for a little while.
Mhm.
And I can rationalize this as well because Had certainly wants to get himself organized and to perhaps send a message ahead and to otherwise, in other words, he doesn't plan on sprinting down the road to get home.
Okay.
So that means that we have a little bit of leisure. The good news is that Ithasha gets all her miracle points back. Please apply whatever healing
Actually,
boots.
I doubt that because that would need an insane amount of
Oh, really? Okay.
time.
Well, I was thinking of
Um,
a restful day and night, and then another day is probably what I have in mind. And I think you get some life points back that way as well.
I'll be
But I
fine
can
with
check.
life points
Yeah.
because my rights were okay on the first day.
But I do not. I need to check how many I
Right.
need.
I have enough miracle points to help both you and Hut to
Oh,
heal
excellent.
if that's necessary, and I probably would offer it
That seems like an
because
excellent idea. That
I probably have to live with that guy, so
right. Okay.
whatever.
So we can talk a little bit. If your characters have leisure to do things like sleep, eat, talk with one another, and get their sort of perspectives straight on what you're trying to do, because you made a very hurried, very tense agreement earlier, so you might as well come to a somewhat more organized, somewhat more considerate version of it. And so we have the opportunity for that. Now, Sam, your character, Vefselk and Okmev, are in a somewhat more tense situation.
Yes.
Because you have been advised in a friendly but very uncompromising fashion that you should talk to this shaman named Zadev, who
Right.
is here at the People of the Ant, and clearly has been a very busy shaman because of all the death motif cool shit that has entered into the practices of the tribe. And so if you don't mind, and unless you want, you can, I suppose, convert this into Vefselk and Akhmev flee across the wasteland pursued by angry dusters. You could do that if you wanted. Or you could go talk to the shaman.
Yeah. I feel like, we're just going to talk to the shaman because it seems a lot less dangerous to just talk to someone and run.
Now, the little map that I provided, therefore, is the spooky place where you have the stored, or rather the disposal of the dead occurs in this place. And if the body can't, for example, can't be recovered, or some piece of it can't be recovered, then the shaman has to do a lot of work to find that spirit out there and anchor it to this spot. So all of those little, this is clearly some kind of fantasy role-playing game, insect hive kind of, globe, firefly hive kind of lair, but we are going to adapt it into a cemetery of unusual make. And just for fun, even though it's not in the book or anything, but just for fun, we might even say that there are these kind of bizarre, cool lightning, or light-giving bioluminescent insects that create these things, and that the dusters have repurposed it to their own use, perhaps up to and including the feeding of the bugs. Remember that I talked about the shaman's burial was a ritual sky burial up in the hills, right, when the shaman woman was dead. But I didn't talk about the way the ordinary bodies of the dead were handled. And let's say it's very pragmatic. Ritualized, to be sure, and taken very seriously, but you probably have not seen, Vefselk has not seen this before. It would strike you as, I don't know how it strikes you in terms of values, but it's definitely not the way that your people handle the dead. And it's also
Right.
not, on the other hand, it sort of meets the Duster philosophy of making do with whatever aspect of the ecology presents itself. You know, whatever the landscape and animals of an area permit, well, why not? You know. So it is, however, potentially a little creepy or strange to see, that this is where this guy Zadev seems to hang out. And for you actually to descend down into that depression to be surrounded by the dead is probably asking a bit much. I wouldn't be surprised if Zadev actually emerges up, walks up out of that region in order to talk to you. But regardless of the fact that you're not sitting in the middle of it, it is the major visual effects of this conversation. So, not quite sure, looking at the map, where I would put your actual location. Really anywhere that close to the edge, I suppose. So Zadev is a very striking figure, far more ritually dressed than the shaman back at the Quail tribe, for example. And one thing that's particularly striking is that he is wearing, as shoulder pieces and part of a chest arrangement, two fairly well kept, well made snake skins. So two skinned, snake skins with the skulls in them, and they have been made very carefully so that no piece is missing, and has actually created kind of a garment out of them. And I'm even thinking of little flares on the shoulders as the straps go over the shoulders. Other than that, I mean, he's got plenty of it's okay. So that's the first thing, and he's a young man too. He's not old at all. He's probably even in, not much older than Vefselk. Yeah, exactly. And one of the other considerations, when I say snake skins, it doesn't take you more than 1 second to realize that those are duster skins.
Yeah.
Right. And the
Duster's shed skin?
No.
Oh, okay.
So now the other aspects of how he looks is that he doesn't look well. He looks as though as he looks like he barely eats enough to stay alive, and he moves with a certain stiffness that doesn't look healthy. Certainly not to a people as graceful as Dusters. And so and there's something about his color is off. It's sort of he isn't pale, isn't really a good term. I would say that he is faded looking,
Mm.
right, in terms of coloration.